What's going on in Fort Worth, Texas? Welcome to episode 72, season 5 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throws coaches with the track club, The Thorn Factory. You can go check out our bios at thethornfactory.com. We just got back from the state track meet, y'all, and we are so proud of our kids. We want to give a big shout out to Lucas Williams for winning the 5A state championship in discus.
Amazing fashion.
In amazing fashion with a throw of 191.2 to bring home the gold on the last throw. Shout out to Skylar Bowman, who finished second in 6A with a throw of 162.7 in the 6A girls discus, In the 5A girls discus, Mackenzie Davis got second in the discus as well. And then Lauren St. Peter had a strong showing in both shot and disc in the 5A division for a shot and disc, and she got 4th place in each. And then our newbie, Jaylee Matthews, had a strong showing, second in the discus in class 4A. So guys, we appreciate them. They've done a heck of a job so far. And if you want more information, so how we train our athletes to maybe get them to the state level, go on thethornfactory.com. Also too, we have other coaches that can maybe help you out depending on where you live and maybe the implement you want to train on. And Coach Kai Smith, west of the Thorn Factory, he kind of runs our javelin and some of our multis, but he also specializes in disc and shot put as well. So his information's on the site. If you're out in the greater West Texas area, Weatherford, Stephenville, Brownwood, Coach Kai is your guy. Coach Jarvis, east at the Thorn Factory, he lives over in the Mesquite area, handles all our East Texas. So if you're in the East Texas area, I had a lot of people come up to me this weekend from Gilmer and White Oak and White House and Tyler and all that stuff, asking about questions about coaching and throwing and stuff, and I'll send them all to Coach Jarvis. So if you're in those areas and looking for good coaching, Jarvis Richmond's your guy east at the Thorn Factory. You can find his contact information on the website. And our new guy, Knight Power and Performance, out in Abilene, coached by Morgan Knight, and former Abilene Christian All-American. So if you're in the greater West Texas area, reach out to Coach Knight and he can get you set yourself up. I did them in the beginning. Somebody's not listening. This is the first one. She's not listening. We'd like to thank our sponsor for season 5, Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go to that website, ttfca.org, for the latest in Texas track and field news. If you go to the site right now, you'll see all the results from the state meet. You'll see the results from the regional qualifiers. You'll see job postings, schedules all the way up to 2022. Stuart Cantor does an amazing job on the site, and everything you need to know about Texas track and field is on that site. So go check ttfca.org out. Fourthrows.com, quality implements price right. Go to fourthrows.com, use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. I have people all the time reach out to me about where do I get discus and all that type of stuff. There's a big difference between what a youth discus should be using and versus what maybe a high school thrower should be using for a discus. And the cool thing is that you can go to fourthrows.com and get a discus for a 14 youth or a 17-year-old senior. So they have all the variety of options there that you need. Go to fourthrows.com to get the 10% off by using code TalkingThrows10. Porta Circle, making throwing more accessible. Go to Porta-Circle, use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off there. Maybe you did go to the state meet this weekend, and maybe you were having to do training in your hotel because you didn't have access to a throwing area. What better tool to use than the Porta Circle? They have the sizes for shot put, size for discus. They're very sturdy, very durable. You can throw them in a parking lot, in a driveway, in a hotel lobby if need be. Porta-circle.com. Use the code TalkingThrows10. Ready Up Athletic Development, ran by Zach Phillips, 512-507-8347. Go to his website, readyupad.com, or follow him on Instagram or Facebook. If you're looking for team consulting, semi-private, or private strength conditioning in the greater Austin area, go to Ready Up Athletic. Our favorite discus. We use this disc a lot from our youth all the way to some of the college kids is Fiber Sports Discus. Welcome to a new way to get the distance. Fiber Sports Discus is taking the guesswork out of the discus selection. This discus, they have all kinds for the junior high kid, for the college athlete, for the intermediate high school freshman, or the advanced level junior or senior that needs, those extra meters in a good floating discus, so that can be basically handling in the wind. Fiber Sports Discus is the way to go. So, and then also too, we're on YouTube. So if you want to see our pretty faces, go to YouTube channel, Not My Pretty Face, and just search Talking Throws podcast, and we will pop up there with all our episodes. And then remind everybody too, our shopping page on the thornfactory.com website. We've got some really cool apparel on there. So if you want to look cool at your track meet, go check out our shopping apparel as well. Today's guest is currently owner and operator of HFS Custom Solutions. He's also president-elect for the National Alumni Board. He's a 3-time academic All-American while attending TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. He's a graduate of TCU in 2008. During that same year in 2008, he was an All-American in the Javelin. He was the WAC Male Athlete of the Year. He was a Conference Champion in the Javelin. He also set a TCU Javelin record of a mark of 224 feet. And then also in 2005 and 2006, he also qualified for the NCAA champion. Please welcome to the podcast, episode 72, Mr. Joe Brown.
That's an easy one. All right, so take us back to when you were in middle school or growing up. What kind of athlete were you back in middle school, and what sports did you play?
Okay. So going back to middle school, so we just played a bunch of sports. So my parents are both athletes. My mom ran track in college. She was a distance runner.
Oh, wow.
And my dad played football and baseball in college. So growing up in middle school, we just played literally every sport. Played soccer, hockey, track, ran on the track team. Was a distance runner because my mom did. And,
really?
Yeah.
So
played football. I swam as well. So
wow.
Literally everything that we could do, we did. So
you grew up in Kansas, right?
Yep. Kansas.
Okay.
I've got 2 brothers. I got one that's 18 months younger than me, and then one that's 6 years younger. So.
Oh, wow.
So y'all had to stay busy playing lots of sports. Mom knew
we played a ton of sports. Yeah. We played on 2 baseball teams every summer, and I played a bunch. Swim team in the morning, baseball in the afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Wow. So what position did you play in baseball?
I was a catcher.
Were you a catcher? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because usually we've heard transitions from softball players that may become good javelin throwers. And I was wondering if you kind of made that correlation from being a good baseball player and carried it over to javelin. But getting back to your mom, where did she run track at in college?
Western Illinois.
Illinois. Leathernecks, right?
I can't remember what SEMO is what they are. I can't remember what they are.
Yeah. Okay. And what about your dad? Did he go to Western Illinois as well?
Oh, right. Sorry, Western Illinois. Yeah. Western Illinois is my mom. My dad went to SEMO. He went to Southeast Missouri State.
Missouri State.
My mom ran distance at Western Illinois. Yeah. My dad played football and baseball at
Okay.
Yep.
So you started out as a distance runner in the track and field world. Did you do any throwing when you got into high school, like the shot or disc or anything?
No, I didn't do any throwing. I played baseball, I swam, and I was on the football team. So I played that. I was for my freshman and sophomore year. That's the sports I did at the high school level. And then my junior year, baseball, I thought I was going to make varsity, and I got cut.
Oh, wow.
Bad tryout, whatever, life. There's a million things you can point to, but it didn't work out. I was devastated. And then one of my football coaches was also the throws coach. And so I was sitting in his office, and, in tears, just trying to, like really upset about the whole situation. And he's like, why don't you come out and throw the javelin for me? That'd be a good use of your time in the spring, and we'll train and have fun and get you ready for football. And so that's how I got into javelin.
Wow.
So
and that was your junior year.
My junior year in high school. Yeah.
What was the coach's name?
Brett Potts.
Coach Potts.
Coach Potts.
Had
Good
he
man.
thrown some javelin? Was he a college
No. But he's a great coach and just watched a lot of videos. So he was a student of it, and so he taught the shot, the disc, and the javelin, all the throws. And so,
oh wow.
And I don't know that he was a thrower himself, but yeah, like he. I mean, we would go and he still had the VHS tapes, and he'd buy the VHS tapes, and he'd throw them in, and we'd go after practice, and we'd watch the, whatever guy was doing a tutorial, and we'd sit there and watch it together and figure out what we needed to do differently. And yeah, so.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So we don't have javelin here in the state of Texas. I'm just kind of curious. Growing up in high school, is javelin pretty popular in Kansas? Is it something that's pretty competitive, or is it kind of people find their path through javelin just like you did?
I don't know. Like I wouldn't say. So I'm a little different than most in that I started throws and track really later in life.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, wasn't on the circuit of doing the club meets and things like that. But, you get to know the other javelin throwers as you're competing in high school. And I think most of them, like, that's, I don't know how they came about it. I've never really asked them, but there's a good number of people. I mean, I think a lot of the javelin throwers we competed against were overseas in college, that were overseas, or they were from like there's like 10 states that throw the javelin. So, so it was from somebody in those states. So I like the guys that I threw against in high school, a lot of them ended up at Kansas State. Some of them, went to A&M and Texas A&M. And then one of the guys was really good for Air Force. So, and you'd see him every
week.
Yeah.
So go back to your first week of that introduction to javelin. What was that like? Was you like trying to throw at animals?
trying to throw somebody out of home plate?
Somebody out of face, were you throwing it like a curve?
It was interesting. Because there's a lot of people that are like, the first question you say, oh, you threw the javelin, like, oh, how far can you throw a football, or how far can you throw this? It's, oh, I bet you I could throw that pretty far. And like, you get out there, and if you don't throw it through the tip, then, or through the point, then you're not going very far. And so I think that's kind of, I don't vividly remember like that first week out.
Yeah.
The memories that I have of that time was, I don't remember my arm ever getting tired. And so I would in college, I would only throw once a week.
Oh, really?
Just cause, really we'd ramp it up one day a week. And then the other days we'd warm up and get some like shorties in and do some stuff like that. But I would throw one time a week. When I was in high school, my junior year, I can just remember, it starts getting darker later in the season or lighter later in the season. So I would just stay out there, after everyone had left, and I would just go walk up and down the field, just throwing the javelin, just taking 2 steps and trying to get that point right. And,
wow.
And then I would, we threw on grass. So like we had like 1-inch spikes, on the javelin cleats.
Yeah.
Cause you weren't throwing on a track in Kansas. You threw it on legit in a field. And so, I would just stand out there and I remember my memories are me being the only one out there, because there's only like a couple other javelin throwers, and they weren't honestly very good athletes. So they were just out there to do a sport, and they would leave and be done with it. And then I would just sit out there and keep throwing.
Wow. So I'm gathering you're kind of a little bit of perfectionist, but also there's some internal competitiveness as you. Is that accurate to say? Yeah.
Oh yeah. My motto, I wasn't going to do anything that I didn't want to be the best at. And so, I had a little deal on my dresser next to my bed. if you want to be the best, you have to work the hardest. And so that's just, I would get up every single day and I didn't think that I was probably the most athletic of anybody that was throwing the javelin.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset was that I was not going to let anybody outwork me. So I would just, try to learn what I could learn and evolve how I could evolve and practice harder and longer than anyone else. So
gotcha. So during that junior year, did you get out of district or did you make it to state in that first year? Javelin?
Yeah, I made it to state. I made it to state my first year.
Really?
And I finished I made it to the finals at state my first year, my junior year.
Wow.
I think you asked one of the Texas A&M guy what his distance were, and he knew it right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
The shot putter or discus guy. But I was like, I can't remember what it was, but I think I threw probably in the 160s in my junior year. And then I think my senior year, my second to last throw, I hit like a 187 or something along those lines.
Wow.
And I ended up second in the state by like a foot.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not bad for just picking it up.
Yeah.
When you didn't make the baseball team.
Yeah. Wow. So, and that was going to be my question. So, javelins can be very hard on your shoulders and elbow and stuff. Did you play football in the fall? Did you try to go back out for the baseball team that senior year?
No, my junior year. So I played football in the fall. I swam in the winter time, and then I threw the javelin again I was done with baseball and I was all in on the javelin. So
were you?
Oh, yeah.
So did you feel like that was going to be the sport that kind of took you into college and stuff?
Yeah, I thought that there was an opportunity just because there's, it's a double-edged sword, right? So the nice part about javelin is that you could probably, if you're decent at it, you could probably walk on in most places.
Yeah.
The tough part about javelin is that it's really hard to get a scholarship anywhere because it's one event and one season. And, especially in men's track, you've got 13 scholarships or whatever it is.
Point.
You're going to give it to the people that can score, like even in throws, right? Like a guy that can throw the hammer and shot indoor or the weight indoor and they can do all these different events. I mean, they're way more valuable than a javelin thrower. But at the same time, I felt confident that I could walk on anywhere because, I if I got a little better, I could score points at a conference meet,
For sure. So were you getting some interest to maybe you would go throw at Western Illinois or where your father went to college or maybe Kansas or Kansas State at the time? Kind of walk us through your recruiting experience and how you ended up at TCU.
My recruiting experience, I wasn't like a highly sought after recruit or anything like that. I had a decent junior year and my recruiting basically was I would go to universities. I didn't have anyone reaching out to me.
Okay. So you had to go out and do it yourself.
Yeah. When I went to go visit K-State or KU or whatever, I would, just go visit the track team when we went there. Cause I was 6 feet tall and 185, 190 pounds when I was a senior. So I wasn't going to go play football.
Yeah.
And I was an offensive lineman in Kansas football. So that wasn't going to translate to the next level there. So I knew that track was the way that I could go. And I really wanted to play a sport in college. I think it's one of those times in your life and that you can do that. You can't go back and do it at a later date. And
yeah,
you can do a lot of different things, but being an athlete and being on a track team you have a snapshot in time to do it. And I wanted to do it. So I would just go meet with the coaches and I came down and visited TCU and SMU, the week before I visited, they had canceled their men's track program.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We know that story very well.
Yeah. They still had, they big time throwers that were there.
Yeah.
They had a good squad. And so,
Hannes Hopley.
Yes, Hannes Hopley was one of those who we interviewed.
Yeah.
Who was in the season when they found out it was.
Yeah, he was the only one still enrolled there when basically they told him in a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I really truly think I was there right around the same time on my visit because
Oh wow.
you know, like because they had just announced it and the coach was talking about how you know he was trying to help one of his guys find a new school to go to.
Yeah.
Because he was an overseas guy.
Yeah, South Africa.
Yeah, yep. So
wow, that's small. So what was it about why SMU and TCU in Dallas Fort Worth? Was it something that your family brought you down coming from Kansas? What was the attraction?
no, so when I came to visit, it was the first time I'd ever stepped foot in Texas. But I had looked at KU and Missouri and K-State and some of those schools up kind of near where we were in Kansas City. And then, I mean, truth be told, a big Chiefs fan and AFC West football, and LaDainian Tomlinson was in his prime at that point. And so he had gone to a little school in Texas called TCU. And so I was just, looking at different places, and TCU stuck out to me because I like the fact that it was close enough. It was 8 hours away, so I could drive home.
Yeah.
It was far enough away that it was something different.
Yeah.
And, and the cool part about, I think with TCU, I can only speak for TCU, but is that, most people who go there are making a decision to not go someplace that all their friends are going. Like they're making a decision to do something a little bit different. Right. So, in Fort Worth, where I've lived for 20 years now, a lot of people go to, UT or A&M or Texas Tech, and you get large contingents of your high school all going to the same spot. TCU is a little bit different in the fact that you have to make a decision to go there. And so, that's why I ended up choosing TCU. And then also I was able to get some grant money and some, other scholarships and things like that, academic related stuff that helped me make the decision to come here.
So how was the communication with who's the throws coach? Was it still?
I actually don't even remember her name. So I got here, and a guy named Monty Stratton was the TCU coach. And I don't know if you remember Monty Stratton, but
I know the name. Yeah,
he's a really good sprints coach. And we were an elite elite sprinting school. I mean, send guys to the Olympics every year school.
Yeah.
And I get down here, and I was the only thrower. Like there wasn't anybody else. I was the only thrower.
No other implements, nothing. No hammer.
No other implement. I'll take that back. I was the only male thrower. There's like one or two female throwers, but I was the only male thrower. And so we go to our first meeting, and I had met the guy like 3 times. Every time he looked very confused as to what I was doing there. But
you're like, I'm a swimmer.
The throws coach kept saying, no. Like he's walking on, like he can actually throw the javelin. And so I'm there for a month, and then Monty Stratton gets fired. The entire coaching staff gets fired, and we get put on we went through probation or internal investigation. So TCU is on probation. So,
wow.
And we didn't have any coaches. So we had a guy named Doc Patton and a couple other guys come back. Yeah. Sprinters, and they would help run practice. Just because there was Daryl Anderson had not been hired yet. And so they would run practice, and I didn't have any throwers to work out with. So for my fall, I would literally go out and I would run with these sprinters every single day and just do their workouts because I just wanted to be on the team and be a part of it. So
really
they'd be running 400 repeats, and I'd be 350 yards behind them.
Oh my gosh.
But you were doing it.
I was doing it. I'd go work out in the weight room with them and go and run and do all that stuff. And then I would just throw on my own. And, so then Coach Anderson got hired, and his first hire was Coach Kennison. And so Coach Kennison, in the interview, I think it was the interview process or something along those lines, he had came in and asked me to throw a little bit, and the grip. So I used to, in high school, I didn't know the right grip. So I would grip the javelin like this, and I would have my pointer finger supporting the javelin. Right. Yeah. And Coach Kennison was like, there's a lot I can teach you. Number one is you got to hold the javelin right. So
But you're like, I'm second place in Kansas. Coach.
I was like, this is how the way I've known how to throw it, man. Like, how am I supposed to throw this thing? And so he didn't teach me anything else, but he's like, hey, let me just, we threw for a little bit. He watched me throw. And then he showed me like, so, the
American
ended up throwing. So basically like your pointer finger is essentially at the top of the rope.
Yeah.
And so I changed my grip, and that was the one thing he did. And so, yeah, that was my fall. That was my fall of my freshman year.
Wow. I have to ask, what was your parents saying? You go to Kansas, they're little boys, 8 hours away. Were you calling mom and dad? Well, mom, I don't have a coach anymore. Or they're like, all right, you need to come back home.
I'm running sprints. I don't know what's going on.
No, they so I came to TCU for the school and
LaDainian Thomason.
Well, TCU is it's a great school because it's in the Metroplex, and like I legitimately came down here, and and it's kind of more of my story, but I came down here for the education, and I knew that if I worked really hard, because my family didn't have much growing up, so I knew that if I worked really hard and focused, that when I graduated, I could get a good job in the DFW area, and so that was my only focus. So they were just happy I had a team to go run around with. Like,
wow, that's awesome.
More than anything else.
So did you bring that? I don't know if it was a stone or a little saying that you have beside your bed: "Be the best or work the hardest." Did you bring that to TCU with you?
Oh yeah.
I have to ask, do you still have that today?
I still have it today. I still have my wife. I think my wife probably drives my wife nuts, but that's I tell her that all the time. But yeah, no, I still have it, and
that's awesome.
I've got that and another quote, the man in the arena quote that one of my my same coach, Coach Potts, gave me.
Yeah.
He framed that, so I've got both of those framed.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Coach Kinnison changes your grip. What was the spring like going into your freshman year, of being a athlete, at TCU?
It was different days than what they are right now because we were in Conference USA.
Y'all were still in Conference USA.
Conference USA. That was my freshman year. And so, so going into the spring, I just wanting to be part of the team and not really having the throws group yet. I asked Coach Anderson, I was like, hey, can I come to the winter, what's the winter season?
Indoor.
Yeah. The indoor season. Yeah. So can I come to the indoor meets and like, I'll film or I'll do whatever you need me to do. Like, I'll help out. Like, I want to come and be a part of it. So I actually traveled to like all the indoor meets, and I would just, I'd film the distance races, the sprints, or whatever they need me to do. And just be a part of the team. And we all practiced together. And so Coach Kinnison came in and so I think we had one or two female throwers. So all of us just worked out together and had a close unit, and Coach Kennison's a good man. So we spent a lot of time together, and he really helped me out a lot. So
what was the initiative about wanting to be a part of that team and go indoors and stuff and be in that kind of environment? Was that just something you were just gravitated to? Yeah,
I just think there's nothing like college athletics, and I like in team sports especially, and I truly just wanted to be part of the team. Like I wanted to travel with them. I wanted to go do all the things that they were doing. I mean, these are the guys that I ran with all fall, unsuccessfully, but I did. And so, I just wanted to spend time with the team and be a part of it. So that's kind of what I did.
Well, I just think too, one of the big things in college is finding your group of people to hang out with. And you found that in that team, and everybody needs that. Otherwise you get lost in, big TCU, and you found your niche.
Yeah. And also too,
that's awesome.
One thing too is kind of walk us through, because a lot of people aren't familiar with what walking on means and how is that different than maybe a scholarship athlete? Did you feel like you were being treated different from what you were walking on versus a scholarship athlete? Can you kind of walk us on, kind of explain the differences and kind of how you felt between those two?
Yeah, and I think it's a little different now. I think now so the Big 12, just the money is different, you know. Like now, so I'll give you what I still do a lot with the university, so I'm pretty I have a pretty good idea of kind of what they do now. So back when I did it, like, I mean, we didn't, walk on, like, there was no training tables there. I mean, we were lucky if we got Gatorade in the weight room, like, I mean, it was a lot more bare bones than it is now. I mean, you got the free sweats and the sneakers, twice a semester or whatever. And that type of stuff. But it's pretty bare bones. Like there wasn't a lot of perks for it. Like, I mean, now they have, TCU is a Big 12 school. I mean, you have, shakes and all this other stuff in the weight room.
Table.
Your training table. You have a whole area dedicated to training table and food and nutrition and people that want to talk to you about your mental headspace and like all this other stuff. And it's like, we didn't have a lot of that. It was just, it was pretty bare bones, like we go, at that time at TCU, now they have, the track is significantly different now than it was when I was there.
Yeah.
But, we didn't even have bleachers or, we would just kind of show up and hang out at the track for a little bit. And you had the little garage that the implements were in, and you go grab those and you warm up and go about your business. My experience as a walk-on is probably a little different than most. And also kind of being on a smaller team. Coach Kennison was really, he worked with me quite a bit on like times that were best for me to work out, and we all threw together, but then like, weightlifting and conditioning and all the other stuff, we would kind of, he'd navigate around our schedules a little bit. So that was.
Did you room with another athlete or did you room with the student?
I was an RA. So outside of my freshman year, I had a assigned Gen Pop roommate, and then I was an RA on campus for 3 years to kind of help support, because I didn't have all of my college supported by grants and loans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if TCU was to ever give me any money from the track and field perspective, I would lose some of my other money, and so it never made sense. So I was an RA on campus, and
cool.
So that's kind of what I did for my other 3 years.
Dude, you were just kind of you just kind of like, I'm on this diving board and I'm just going to jump in the TCU pool.
Yeah.
I was going to make it work, man.
You did.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell us back. All right. So getting back to throwing, your freshman year of throwing, what was that experience like? Tell us about your first experience at your first meet, if you remember that.
Yeah, I think my freshman year and sophomore year kind of blend together a little bit.
Okay.
I would say the biggest, I medaled at conference and for Conference USA my freshman year. I think that was the big highlight for me. Yeah. So I think it was in like the top 3 or, I had a, like Javelin.
So the RA got a points for the school in conference.
Yeah.
Yes, freshman year. Yeah.
And he didn't want to take the scholarship money.
Because he got more from the other money.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, so I can't remember what place it was, but I know I've got the medal, so I know that I medaled when I was there. But yeah, no, I scored points my freshman year. It was awesome, and the javelin, like the fun. Coach Kennison always made fun of me because I'd throw it, I don't know, 170 in practice at best. And then, you hit things and get the right adrenaline, and, you get in the meet mode. And I think I probably threw like 210 or something like that my freshman year. Like it was, for the 200, some it was right around there. So like, and I put it all together in that meet, And so
you were a gamer as well.
Yeah. That's
on when you need to.
Yeah, that was my when the big meets happened. That's when we showed up. So
do you remember? And just from a technical aspect, do you remember were you kind of a big walk run up, or were you a short run up? Kind of, you talked a little bit about the grip. Was there anything you kind of had special in your run up? Were you trying to build speed?
Yeah, I built speed. I can't remember how many steps I had. I feel like it was like yeah, man, I haven't really thought about this in a long time, but it was, I had a good amount of space. So I'd clear out, I'd probably go clear back to the railing of the actual track, if not even a little bit further back. Get started, like rock it a couple times. And I mean, I would, get started almost like similar to how like a triple jumper or long jumper will start out. You get some bigger steps up front, and then you kind of get into a groove, and then you're doing your crossover steps, and then you do that crow hop at the end and go. But yeah, that worked a lot on that. Like I would probably spend, that would be a couple days of my workout. I'd go in the rec. I wasn't even like, so I'd go in the rec center at TCU's rec center, and they have a track up top. Yeah. And I would go warm up, and this is just on my own time. And a couple times a week for most of the year, I would go up there and I would just practice my steps. Like I'd go in the corner. Yeah. People probably thought I was crazy, but I would just sit back there and practice my steps, because I mean, like, you just have, it has to be so second nature that you're not thinking about those things, like your feet need to be in the right spot. And so I spent a tremendous amount of time in my footwork.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So was that mentality that just the drive to be successful?
Yeah.
To be the best, because you got to work the hardest.
Yeah, I worked the hardest. Yeah. So that's why, like, again, like was my mindset in college too. Like, I mean, I'm 6 foot and 200 pounds or whatever it was, 220, like probably for most of my college throwing time, and yeah, like, I mean, I wasn't the most athletic person out there, but if I was going to be successful, then I had to outwork everybody else out there.
So you were also academic All-American for several years at TCU, which is a pretty high level school. So how did you balance your work ethic with getting your javelin throwing and being academic All-American?
And an RA.
And an RA. Yeah. I mean, that's big.
I was involved on campus, and the coaches knew that as well. And I think, like, I don't know, this is Coach Kennison listening now, or if he listens back on this, but I think it was because I was a walk-on, and because I was scoring points at conference, and my sophomore year, my first throw of the year was at Baylor relays, and I hit my regional qualifying throw, and first meet of the year, first couple throws of the year. And I can't remember what that throw distance was, but it was a regional qualifier.
Like 220 or 218 or something like that.
Yeah. So, so I had all that, which gave me a little bit of leverage on, they because I was a walk-on and they weren't paying me money, I could kind of work with them more on, hey, academics are really important to me. I have to hit these schedules. Can you please work around my schedule a little bit? I want to get involved in this, and it's going to allow me to do this. Can you work around my schedule a little bit? And so, like, that, they were super accommodating. And I basically, like, Coach Kennison and I would set a time once a week that we would throw. And then outside of that, I would have my own workouts. And so either if I could make the times that we worked out as a team, then I would do that. If I couldn't, then I'd work out on my own. And I had my own workout stuff, and I knew what I needed to do. And he trusted me to get it all done. And I probably did more than he gave me to do. So he was always pretty all right with it. But yeah, I was very involved on campus. I was in the, business school and a leadership program. I was a, frog camp or camp facilitator for incoming freshmen. I enjoyed that part of it as well.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And wow, that's cool, man. Yeah. So you qualified that your sophomore year. So how did you do? And did you walk us through? Did you make it to the NCAAs, or did you get out of the regionals for that? How did that
I didn't get out of the regionals. I can't. So that was our first year in the Mountain West. I think the meet was out at BYU, I want to say. And I didn't have a great meet. And, I think that was that. I can't, my sophomore year and my junior year kind of get a little mixed up, but I don't think I had a great meet that year. And then the regional meet, I wasn't I didn't end up qualifying. You know, I threw well, like I probably threw 210, 215, you know, respectable. But it just wasn't, you know, I didn't put it all together. I didn't hit that one throw. And I think this is kind of similar to all the throws, but like I was saying earlier, I mean, you've got to hit your footwork right. You got to pull it through the point. Like your body has to be in the right position, and you have to be relaxed, and you have to do all those things and hit it right. And when you do all that, the javelin flies. If you miss a footstep, or you pull down a little too hard, or, you know, like it's just, some days are good, some days aren't. So like, so I think at the end of, so that was my sophomore year. And then I think my junior year, one of those 2 years, I partially tore my rotator cuff.
Oh, wow.
So I qualified again, I think my junior year.
In 06.
Yeah. And then, so I qualified again my junior year. And then at the end of that season, I fought through it. So it was like a small tear.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a season ending thing, but it just made it like every time you threw, it was just painful. Every time you did a bench press, it was painful. Every time you did anything, like you could feel it. So I got that kind of squared away. And so actually, okay. So that was at the end of my sophomore year. So that's why I had, so my sophomore year ended at a rotator cuff. So that was rough. And then going into because I remember it because I had the surgery like the day before my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, so then my junior year had a decent year, and I finished, I think I placed in the Mountain West, and just regionals never really materialized there. But you know, like a lot of that year was, you know, kind of working through cause you get scar tissue from that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to break through that. And it kind of, the same time, it feels like it feels like you're hurting it again when you're breaking through that scar tissue. And so, you know, not an excuse. It's just, no, it didn't all come together for me my junior year. I mean, I still hit the regional qualifier. I still went to regionals. I still, you know, I still scored points at conference and did all that. And that was so, and then, after my junior year, I decided that I was going to walk onto the football team and be a long snapper.
Seriously?
Yeah. Cause I was like,
did you long snap in high school?
And I long snapped in high school. And I was like, I see these guys long snapping. I was like, I think I can do that. And I kind of want to be on the football team. I think that'd be really fun.
Time out. I got to stop. So did you tell Kinnison first, or was this you tell him after you tried out?
It was more like here's what I'm going to do.
Can you fit it around my schedule?
And he was like, wow, I really don't want you doing that. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it. And the coach said that I've got Mondays off and I can throw on Mondays. So I'll work out with the football team. I'll do all that stuff. And I'll throw on Mondays with the track team with you. I'll meet you out there on Monday. So that's what my fall of my senior year, I walked on in August for the football team. And and that's, you know, so
who's the head coach?
Patterson was the head coach.
Really? He was the head coach that time. Okay.
So, and that was Andy Dalton was his freshman year.
Okay.
So, my brother was on the team at that time. A couple of like my really good friends, like the athlete network there, you know, with all sports is pretty close.
Yeah.
So I got to know a lot of the football players, and so we were all friends. And I thought my goal was to walk on because I thought I was going to play, and that didn't happen. But it's still like I ended up basically like they needed a backup long snapper, and I was. They knew that I was a good javelin thrower, and I was an athlete, and that I, was kind of cool under pressure. And so like, I basically went out there and I was like, hey, if you want to cut me, just cut me and tell me I'm done. But if you think that I add value to the team, then let me know and I'll stay. And so I stayed, and then they let me just kind of hang out with the starters. And so I actually didn't do scout team or anything else like that. I would just go do second team, snap on the second team, and then I would go work out and do my javelin exercises or, my band work and all that stuff in the weight room while practice was going on, and then come back up for the end of practice. And so,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
cool.
So did you get to suit out during the games and stuff during
Yeah.
the fall?
Yeah. I was on the sideline for the football games.
What was your number?
50.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That me and you we're gonna hang out. I like it.
So my brother was also on the team, and so his name is John Brown, and my official name is Joseph Brown. So, and he was there first, and so it was I was number 50, and it was because J-O, like they had to get differentiated.
Yeah.
So I was my jersey has JOS period Brown on it. So
what that had to be pretty cool to walk out and run out in Amon Carter Stadium and be in that environment stuff for TCU.
It was a really cool experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. Like, I mean, I thought it wasn't going to be successful if I didn't get to play, and I never got to play, and it was a huge success. And I mean, it was at the end of it, like, because I was a senior, they actually like framed my jersey. They gave me my helmet. Like, they did all these things. And like, I didn't,
You've never gone to field.
I didn't do anything to deserve all of that, but it was kind of cool.
So in your mind, did you ever think that, man, I could get hurt where I could hurt my elbow or my shoulder and kind of damper my hopes for javelin and maybe winning an NCAA championship? If you were thinking that far ahead, did that even cross your mind, or were you like, I'm going to do this?
No, it didn't cross it never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was like, I'm going to spend an hour and a half more in the weight room every single day than I would before. And like, I have the opportunity to get better and to do all this stuff that, I mean, it was extra dedicated time to getting stronger and all that. So I thought it would help me. I genuinely thought it would help me. And I think that the success I had my senior year, it did help me.
The Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Coaches education through our annual winter clinic, the state's #1 track and field clinic. Texas Track and Field promotion, our postseason Meet of Champions, lobbying efforts with the state's governing bodies, the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. If it involves Texas Track and Field, we're at the forefront. Join our mission in continuing to make Texas Track and Field the nation's best.
I'm guessing by you, Joe, that you're someone who kind of is very good with observation, and you kind of learn from watching others. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
From filming indoor track and watching coaches coach and athletes perform, and then you get to be out there with those second team starters in that role. You've done a lot of sitting back and listening and observing.
Yep.
And you've owned that, right?
That's I mean, listening, observing, and then I would say even on the javelin sense, like, I mean, we'd film every single practice, and I mean, I was a student of what I would watch back everything I did. I took a lot of time to watch other people that were better than me, and how they prepared, because it's for throwing, like it's as much a mental game as anything else. Like, I mean, you got to get prepared. Like, I probably spent an hour and a half before every meet getting ready. Like, I had a whole routine. I had everything I did. Like, I mean, just from starting, like, okay, at this point in time, I'm going to start walking around. At this point in time, I'm going to change into this, and I'm going to start my warm up, and I'm going to get this going. And then when this, this point hits before this, I just, I like the preparation that goes into all that to make sure that you've done everything you need to do for when you step, in between those two lines and to start to throw, like, it's just stuff I've gathered, I think, just from the different sports, people I was around, people I was with, coaches, like all that stuff.
Wow. That's amazing. Amazing. So going into your senior year, you win the conference, you set the school record at 224. You're an All-American. Just what an amazing senior year. Kind of walk us through kind of your mindset, from January into May of that, that season, and kind of how everything played out.
Yeah, I think like I tasted it the year before, and I knew that I could win the conference. Like I knew that I could do that, and it was at TCU on top of it. So it was a home meet, and like I knew I could win it. I truthfully didn't really like the guy who beat. So I finished well the year before, and I didn't like the guy that beat me, and who was leading the conference. Because I mean, you look at those standings every single week,
of course.
You're going through the season, like where everyone's throwing, where they threw it at, all those things. You're like, man, like I can't let that guy beat me, like. And so I was dialed in on that, and I was dialed in. I'd never been to the NCAA tournament or the NCAA tournament, the NCAA meet. Like I wanted a shot. I wanted to be there. It was in Des Moines that year, Drake, and I'd worked so hard and for so long to get to that point, and so I there was nothing that was going to stand in my way to getting there, and so. I was laser focused. I mean, I think my college experience, the one that most people had where they got their favorite bar and this and that. And I think I probably had that experience between 26 and 30 and not 18 to 22. But if we're being honest, but I was I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I took care of my schoolwork. Took care of my throws, made sure I got plenty of rest. I was dialed in on making it happen. And we had good meets all year. There's some better than others, but I think I qualified early for regionals, the regional qualifying early. And then, that meet, I think in the finals is when I threw. So my last 3 throws is when I threw the long one to win it and in conference. And so that set me up well for the next week or 2 weeks later, whenever regionals was. That one, I think it was at Oklahoma, and I hit it right. I had one throw, I had a bunch of good throws, and I had one that just everything popped for me, and ended up throwing it. If I threw 224, I think 224 was one at conference, and I think I threw 221 or 2 at regionals as well. So I hit a nice throw there, and then the NCAA meet, I don't know, it's I was used to all the other ones, right? And then that one's just a little different. The adrenaline hits a little bit different, And
did Coach Kiddison take you? Did you just you and him go? Because
it was just I think we had one or two. I'm not sure if Tommy Killen. I think another person. I got another couple throwers qualified that year.
Okay.
So we had a small team.
Yeah.
But we had one or two others that qualified that year, and
okay.
We went up there, and then we were all pretty close because it's not a big track team. It's not like an A&M or Texas where you've got 50 people on the men's track team. It's 20 of us, or whatever it is. It's not huge. So we're all really good friends. My road roommate for most of college was a triple jumper and a long jumper, really good one, really, really good one. And he qualified as well. So so we had a good squad out there, and I used to wear suits to all of our travel or away meets because I told them I was there for business.
Did you really? You'd wear the whole suit with the tie?
Full suit with a tie.
Did you really?
Every time we traveled.
Yeah, you were there for business.
Yep.
Dude, you were going to Men's Warehouse the night before to get a matching tie.
Yeah, I want to make sure we look good, man. But
so you make it to Drake.
Drake. And
how did that go? How did it turn out?
I had one good throw in the prelims, and good enough to get me to finals. And
All-American.
And and then I didn't do the guys that were winning were throwing 260 or 270.
Yeah.
I think it was, some guy from Georgia or someplace. I can't even remember who it was, but he was just bombing it. but I really thought I could end up in the top 5. Like I thought I could do it. And I thought if I put it all together, because I think the Olympic qualifying for the trials was like 229.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I just wanted to put one together, and I wanted to, I wanted to have the opportunity to go to the trials. Like I wasn't ever going to do anything more than that, but I thought, man, that'd be something if I could put them together to do that. And so that was my goal going into the NCAA meet, was to try and hit that and try and finish top 5, top whatever. And so I think I ended up finishing 10th or something, like, one of those. And so, and in that I was, I ended up being All-American. So
wow.
It was a bittersweet deal, because like you didn't hit the number you wanted, and it was probably your last throw that you're ever going to make. And you want more out of it. It's like, man, I wish I had one more. I think if I had one more, I could hit it.
So did you think, just kind of thinking ahead, did you try to go maybe qualify at another meet or something like that after that NCAA, or was that it? That was done.
That was it. I circled back around to it in probably 3 years later, when I first started my company. I had some extra free time on my hands. And that would have been 2008, which would have been Beijing. And then so that would have been going into the 2012 Olympics in London. So 2 years out, not that I had any chance of doing this, but I really I couldn't get the trials idea out of my head. I was like, man, that would be so cool if I could just go. And so I started throwing again. I was more messing around up at the TCU track and just seeing if I could do it. And then, life happened, and just didn't, I probably spent 6 months getting back into it, and really actually throwing, actually doing long toss, actually doing all the, getting the muscles right. Cause I'd stayed in really good shape after I got done, but it just wasn't meant to be. And
do you remember the conversation you had with Coach Kinnison after that last meet? Is there anything memorable that, a hug or something that was said after that last throw that you recall, or he might recall?
I can't remember. I can't remember a certain, like something that sticks out, like a big hug though. Big hug. I mean, it was he had come over from Florida to come to TCU, and I was his first thrower, and I'd help him recruit other. I there was nobody else to help with recruits, so when throwers recruits came in, we got a good couple of good people. So we went on a journey together, and one of my goals was, he has a picture of all of his All-Americans up in his office, and so. I wanted to be an All-American. I wanted to be
on the wall.
I wanted to be up on that wall, and so I made it, and
that's cool.
It was just a good embrace, and probably a tear or two shed on my end, but it was a really fun run. I couldn't have asked for anything more from a college athletics experience. I got to go to Texas relays and Penn relays, and all the big meets, and go to an NCAA meet and go do all that stuff. And I had just started throwing the javelin when I was a junior in high school, so it was kind of a cool deal. There's nothing else I could have done in college athletics at a Division I level that would have allowed me to do as much as I got to do with throwing the javelin at TCU. So.
Hell yeah, for sure.
All as a walk-on.
For sure.
All as a walk-on, 4 years.
And that was going to be one. So even your senior year, they didn't give you any money?
No, 4-year walk-on.
Wow.
Yeah. I had, like I said, I had some other grants and loans and stuff, and we had talked probably going into my senior year, they could offer me books or something, and it's books is $500,
you're I'm good.
At this point, I got this figured out.
I was doing my RA thing, and I was able to make some money doing that, and to pay for some school doing that stuff. And so I was making it work on my own.
Wow. What a cool story. So tell us now you're running this company, and you're very involved in the alumni. at TCU.
Yeah.
So you bleed the Horned Frogs. Tell us
Whites and
about
purple.
your involvement with TCU as an alumni and kind of what your company's about as well.
Yeah. So I had a real job, as I say, for like 3 years outside of college, and then I started hustling some T-shirts to my brother's fraternity and some of his friends, and so I had this little side hustle, and then out of nowhere I got fired from my job, and I was actually engaged to a fellow thrower at the time as well, and she decided to go move a different direction, and I got fired from my job in like a 2-week time period. So I was like trying to like figure out like, what am I going to do with my life? And I had a friend of mine who actually helped, who was my business partner for many years. He's like, hey, you're selling T-shirts. You love TCU. I think you should go back to campus and start asking for the opportunity to work with them, sell promotional products all over campus. And so he kind of showed me the ropes. And then for the rest of that year, I would just get up every single day, and I lived about a mile from campus at the time, and I'd drive to campus and start talking to people, asking for a chance. And so I ended up, making it through that first year, and we now do 85% of the internal merchandise, logoed merchandise and custom apparel that's given out on TCU's campus. So if you go to a basketball game and they give you a shirt, or if you go to track meet and they give you a medal or whatever it is, like if it's a logoed TCU item bought internally on campus, we do majority of that business. And then we've expanded to UTA, UNT, UNC Health Science Center, Texas A&M, Abilene Christian. So we've got a big group of universities, and then we now have 16 employees. And so we work with businesses and hospitals on their employee logo items for employee appreciation, customer retention, customer appreciation, gifting, all that type of stuff. So,
wow. And what's the name of the company again?
HF Custom Solutions.
HF. What's the H? What does that stand for? HF.
Horned Frog.
I should have known. That was a stupid question. Dude, that is awesome. So what did you get? Did you get like a business or finance degree?
I graduated marketing and entrepreneurial management degree.
And
so my involvement on campus now is I'm the president-elect of the National Alumni Board. It's all the alumni, the volunteer portion of the Alumni Association across campus.
Yeah.
I'm the president of the Neely, which is a business school leadership program. Their alumni group. And I'm in the Block T Association's board. So that's the Letterman's, essentially the letter winners group.
Yeah.
TCU. So I'm on that. My wife was a 2013 golfer at TCU as well. So she's pretty good. She was an academic all-American in her own right. So, we're involved on that together. And like I said, we live a mile from campus, go to every single sporting event, still see Coach K all the time. And,
that's awesome. Do you still keep up with any javelin throwing in the world, or what's going on in the U.S.?
I don't actually keep up with that much. All like Coach Kennison will send me articles or be like, hey man, I think someone had a really big throw this year. And so he was like, this guy's throwing this far. And so, but I think my, I wasn't as active in it growing like in high school.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, there's a couple of really good discus and shot putters from the United States that threw at TCU when I was there. And because they were so active in high school, they really followed everything discus.
Yeah.
Like, they knew everything that was going on, who was throwing what, where, for a long time, because they did the club stuff. They did all that other stuff. I never did any of that stuff. So I never followed it outside of, whenever we were in season. I would make sure I knew what every javelin thrower was throwing all the way across the country. That's the only
And the
time
guy
I ever.
that you didn't like.
And the guy you didn't
The
like.
guy you
Yeah,
didn't
the
like.
guy.
That's it. That's all you needed to know is the guy you needed to beat.
That's all I. That's
You didn't need to know
one
anybody
in front of
else.
me, man.
That's
awesome.
right.
Do you still have you talked to Coach Potts lately? Do you still keep up with him?
I do. He went on to he got named like teacher of the year in the state of Kansas. And then he got out of teaching and was an administrator. And like, I think he's like the head of a big school district in Kansas City or Kansas or Missouri now. Like he's really been successful. And I actually, his kids are really young when, it's funny now I'm about to be 37. And so he had to be younger than me when he was coaching me in high school, which is kind of funny now, perspective wise. But yeah, so I still keep up with his kids, and one of them is a pilot, and I mean he was a big influence on my life, and I've tried to let him know it a couple of different times. But Coach Potts and Coach Kinnison, now they're if I could help a quarter of as many people as those two have helped, and I think I've done pretty good in life. So they're two really good coaches.
I don't. We always kind of have a couple, we have a track team where we coach a lot of youth, and a lot of times we have coaches reach out to us of, looking for aspirations to how do I get this kid into college and do this and stuff like that. And people sometimes just don't know the path. If you could give them one piece of advice about the having the courage to walk onto any university and kind of go down the road that you choose to go road that you went down, what would that be?
I think the biggest, so from a walk-on perspective, I think that it's really hard, and you have to overcome some internal fears, right? Like you have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, I deserve to be out there. I'm good enough. And you have to kind of embrace the uncomfortable, because, you're stepping out of your comfort zone to go do something that, not very many people do. Like if you are a college athlete, you are you're a select few people in this world that are able to do that. And so if you have the ability and to do it, then I tell the people this all the time, like, it is a select time in your life. And if you have the ability and you can make a team, or if, you can throw far enough, like you need to do it. You need to do it. And even though it's maybe uncomfortable that first practice or that first week, or you don't know anybody, or, you don't know the coaches that well, or they didn't recruit you, or you're not going, they're not taking you to meets, fight through it, because if you know that you can do it, then fight through it, because you may not go to I was fortunate enough to go to all my meets, but I had other throwers that if they didn't hit a certain minimum, then they didn't go. And so, or other runners that you don't go to meets. And so you got to fight through that and know that maybe your junior year is going to be your year. And if you put in the work to get there, then you'll be successful. And it's not easy, but I think it prepares you really well in life. I think, if I was hiring someone, I'd hire someone. If I found someone that was applying for my company that wanted to be a sales rep and they were a 4-year walk-on someplace, hell yeah. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Let's, I know that you can, I know that you can overcome obstacles. I know that you can, you're not going to shy away from any situation. I think that's huge. And so, yeah, while it may be, I promise you, it will be uncomfortable to go walk on someplace, and it's not going to be easy. And there'll be other people that are better than you. And you're going to have to work 3 times as hard as all those people that are getting a bunch of money. Yeah. And you may be better than them, but that's just life, man. Some people have more opportunity, and you're going to have to work twice as hard as them to get there. And that'd be my advice. Don't shy away from it. Walk on.
Great, man. That's a great answer.
Yeah. Oh,
great
awesome.
answer. Do you have kids now?
I don't. No, married 3 years, working our way towards that.
Understand. Understand. We've been married 3 years, and
We have not been married 3 years. We haven't even been married 2 years.
we're less than 2 years. It seems like it's been 50 years.
That's just because we're almost 50 years old.
For sure. For sure.
He was blessed enough to meet me late in life.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
That's
somebody
for-
needed to say
So
that.
so both of you are throws coaches then, is that right?
Yes. Yes, we run the Thorn Factory, which is based out of South Fort Worth. It's been going on for over 3 years. I initially started it myself, and it was kind of had about 5 or 6 kids. We would go do some summer meets, and then probably about 2 years ago, we started dating, and she got involved in this. And man, we have about, oh my God, 30 kids just on our team.
That's great.
Out of South Fort Worth. And the state track meet was this past weekend. I had one boy who won 5A state championship in the discus on the last throw. And
Gamer.
Yeah,
Gamer. All
that
right.
throw was actually the farthest throw in the state this year.
That's awesome.
He's signed to go to Colorado. I had a senior girl, 2 seniors girl, one in 6A get silver. With her farthest throw of PR of 162. She's going to North Carolina to throw. And then another senior girl that's going to Texas Tech to throw got silver in 5A. And I coach a girl out of Stephenville who's going to Tarleton. She got second in 4A. And then I have a little sophomore, the stud sophomore from Aledo, who shot put in discus, and she got 4th place in both in 5A. And so.
And then I have a 7-year-old who threw the turbo
Javelin.
jab for the first time. She threw her mom texted us. She just now started throwing with us, and she was like, "What's this turbo jab stuff?" And I kind of told her. So she went and bought one, and her 7-year-old daughter threw turbo jab at the summer meet on Saturday and got second. So.
Yeah. And that's the reason we do this podcast, is really kind of grow the sport and to get stories out like you, to give a little people inspiration, because we get so fixated on football and D1 scholarships or D1 volleyball scholarships or basketball scholarships that, people don't realize there's an avenue for athletic scholarships in track and field, but especially throwing. Just the javelin or the hammer, even though they don't do it in the state of Texas, you still have opportunities to do that. And we try, and we have people on like you so people can hear it, to say, okay, I might need to go pick up a javelin and see if I can coach myself to maybe, follow in Joe Brown's footsteps. And
I think, it's, especially, there are a lot of scholarships, especially, in the female side of things too, it's worth it to try and see if you can pick up the hammer, if you can try and pick up, because like I said, I'm passionate about this, and I'm probably more passionate about Division I athletics, because I think it's awesome. And you find a school that you can cheer for, and you get behind it, and like you can walk on to these schools, and especially at like the state schools. Like, I don't know anything about the Tarleton State program, but we do a lot of work at Tarleton State, and I'm telling you, like, that's going to be a fun school to have gone to.
Yeah.
And, you can walk on and afford to go there as well, without scholarship money. And like I said, if you have the chance to be a athlete, or if you have a chance to be on a sports team in college, Division I sports team, I think you got to take it, because it's a really unique, fun experience. Like you can go drink beer with your buddy on Tuesday nights and go to frat parties and all that stuff. Like, there's that stuff for you anywhere in life. And, you can have a lot of fun later on and whatever, but like, you can't go back and be a Division I athlete at any point in time. And so I think it's worth it, and you make it work for your situation, but it's cool. It's really, it's cool to get the gear. It's cool to, go on the buses and things.
Football field.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be able to say you do that stuff. And so I highly encourage, whoever, if anyone's listening to this, like you're saying, and on the fence about whether they should walk on or just be a normal student, walk on, give it a shot.
I'm curious about something because I don't know if I'm sure you're very involved in this and you don't have to go into detail, but now on the athletic side of NCAA sports and Division I, we have this NIL and all this likeness and imaging, and now the transfer portal and all that. As you, someone who's very involved in alumni at a big Power 5 school, what's your perspective on that?
So I think they're trying to change it yearly, it sounds like, which is kind of frustrating to a lot of people on a lot of different sides of it. But I think from a track and field perspective, like as an entrepreneur, I think that, and what I'm trying to do for TCU and what I think that the Neely School of Business is trying to do for TCU is, and I'll give it a really good, you're a guy that won discus championship, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other discus throwers that are in the country that are going to be watching him over the next 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to educate him on how you start your own company, how you can get your own merchandise, how you can get your brand out there, how you can capitalize on the success that you've had, right? Like how you can get in front of other, like, I don't know if it's implement groups or whatever it is,
Really?
I would teach that student athlete how to run their own business and how to start their own podcast, how to do those things, because, they've got a huge platform and they've got a huge platform at all these meets. You got high school kids that are going to be watching their throws every time they're successful in college. Like, I don't think the car dealership is going to be the avenue for most people. That's a top 1% of college athletes, right?
Yeah.
The where you're going to make your money and that where you can capitalize on that 4 years is by, capitalizing in your area. And, there's one of the female, like I think it's a rifle or somebody else, like, she's pretty well known in the TCU rifle space and she wants to make her own t-shirts and sell them. Absolutely. Like, I think that's amazing. Like, get a little side hustle money. Like, if I could have figured out how to do that when I was in college by throwing the javelin, and I could, with social media, what it is, those kids are graduating with, like just from being alive, they have 2,000 followers or, they know how to work TikTok and do all that stuff, they could do TikTok videos and on educational on how to throw a discus and figure out how to monetize that. And that's how I would handle the NIL now, like, because you can get paid for your success. And I wouldn't focus as much on trying to get the free money from somewhere else,
Great. So you look at it as the entrepreneur side of things.
Run your business. Yeah. Get your business started. Learn
a business degree.
Learn about how to run a business. That's going to set you up for success afterwards because you're selling yourself. You know how to file taxes properly. You're like, there's a lot of things that you can learn with a big safety net of the fact that you're in college. And a lot of these, your guy's going to have a scholarship, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to get paid to go to Colorado to have fun, to throw the disc. And if he can go make a couple $100 by running his own business and that's discus related, that's kind of a cool deal and sets you up well for afterwards.
Good
point. Very good point, man. Very good point. Very good point, dude. Dude, you are awesome. You're awesome. So your story is really, really cool, and I'm glad we had you on because it just that's really cool. You've took full advantage of your college experience from the first day you walked on campus to the day you left, and it still bleeds inside of you, and that's amazing. So for sure, man. So, dude, if there's anything we can do for you in the past or in the future, just reach out to us.
Send it out to as many people as you'd like. I'd love to talk to anyone you have.
We can. Well, definitely. I'll take you up on that because I do have people all the time who, kind of on the fence of wanting to go here and do this and do that. And I actually might have a thrower this year who is really talented. Hopefully she'll become, a D1 offer, but if she doesn't, there might be opportunities to walk on. But, so she's still deciding that. So definitely for sure.
And I love that because, most people think, well, if I don't get this D1 offer, if I don't get some money, I'm just not going to go. No, go. Yeah. Go, try, walk on. There's opportunities everywhere. I played basketball at a little junior college and it was the best 2 years ever. So
for sure.
Big believer in it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Back in the day when dirt was invented.
No.
Played in the peach
Get outta
basket.
here. Get out of
Peach
here.
basket.
She was in the gym. She was the first one to shoot in the peach basket.
It was 3 on
You and James Naismith or whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She broke up with
Close
James. They
friend.
dated. She broke up with him.
I am not that old.
All right, Joe, thank you so much, man. We'll see you. Let's stay in touch, okay?
I will do. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
What a great story. Just the humility. Some people's pride, some people's arrogance will not let them say, oh, I'm a walk-on and go here to do it, because they feel like they're being devalued or being done wrong.
Yeah.
And Joe is not that story. He was grateful for the opportunity to come to Fort Worth to walk on TCU. I just something sticks in my head that to be the best is to work the hardest. That mentality, that creed that he kind of goes by. Just a really cool story. The self-made javelin thrower. You know, they really didn't have a coach his freshman year until Coach Kennison comes in. The adversity of getting hurt and still doing all the little work on his own and stuff is just, man, you wanted to hang out with Joe in college, because Joe, you'd be like, you're just the coolest dude.
Yeah. And the courage that he had to walk on, the courage that he had to go talk to the football team, tied in, and I know he probably not to the courage that he had after he lost his job. And people were like, hey, he walked around TCU trying to market, and then now he has this company. I mean, all of that from not making the baseball team in high school.
That's true.
You know, when you go back and look at somebody's life, you see all of the steps, all the obstacles that became the way for him to get to where he is today. And he just had a lot of great stuff to say, especially about when you asked him that really good question about advice for a walk-on athlete. You know, it's an option out there. You don't have to be the number one D1 recruit or JUCO recruit or whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to participate, there are options.
Yeah.
If you're willing to work hard and, like you said, swallow a little pride and walk out there and then prove what you have.
And just like you said, if you might feel uncomfortable with the coach, it might be awkward. There might be people that's more talented than you. You know, you just ignore that and control what you can control.
Embrace the uncomfortable.
Embrace the uncomfortable. Great point.
We need more of that in the world.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So we thank Joe Brown for being on. We'll see y'all down the road.
All right, let's thank our sponsors for season 5, Texas Track and Field Coach Association, ttfca.org. All of the state meet stuff's on there. Meet of Champions is coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Well, it will have happened by the time this comes out. So all that information will be out there. fourthrows.com, looking for some implements for your summer throwing. Go check those out. Get 10% off. Use code TalkingThrows10. Porta-Circle, porta-circle.com. Get your Porta-Circle. Summer is coming, and around here in Texas, it is hot. So if you have a nice air-conditioned garage and you want to get some drills in, get you a Porta-Circle or take it into a gym somewhere. If you're in Austin, Ready Up Athletic Development, readyupad.com. Contact Zach Phillips. Follow him on Instagram or Facebook. And, of course, our Fiber Sport Discus.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
And then thethrowingfactory.com. Coach Kai, Coach Charvis, Coach Morgan Knight, and us all getting ready for summer season, coaching kids. Reach out to us. Check out our apparel. Check out our podcast on Apple and Spotify and YouTube.
Yes. And then also don't forget about Lifting DFW Human Performance. It's my little baby. You can go to liftingdfw.com to contact me about any private lessons or anything that we do is regarding the Olympic lifting. So we can transform that Olympic lifting to a high school football player or to a girls volleyball player, anything you need in between. So liftingdfw.com is the way it's at.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.